Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to get notified of my latest videos. Today I am bringing the magic of Christmas to July with some fabulous DIY home projects that I have created on my channel over the years. And the best part, these are all look for less dupes, meaning you get the high-end holiday look without breaking the bank. Thanks so much for joining me for these Christmas in July DIYs. I hope you will enjoy these projects and get some inspiration to create your own holiday decor on a budget. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below for your favorite project, and don't forget to subscribe for more DIYs. Happy crafting and Merry Christmas in July. Let's get started. First DIY, we are starting off with some bells from Dollar Tree and a toilet plunge from Dollar Tree. I picked up 5 of these bells for $1.50. I'm located in Canada and we are at $1.50. And as you can see, they're a little bit different than the bells that I had made up before. These guys have a bit of a lip. And I'm going to be removing the greenery as well as the bows and berries off of them, so that way I just have a plain bell. And once everything was removed, I do take a cleaning wipe, almost like a degreaser, and give them a good cleaning, so that way I have no problem with paint going on them. And I'm going to be using metallic gold and satin black spray paints to make over these bells. I will be using the wood part of the plunger and then also some rope. Now the inspiration for this DIY is from Pottery Barn, and I was trying to recreate this look. Now I do know that the shape of the bells is a little bit different, but I think we can create a very similar look for around $10 instead of $283. So I went outside and gave the bells a coat of black paint, spray paint, and I just tried to spray it as evenly as possible without getting any drips. I wasn't going for 100% coverage. I just wanted to have a nice dark base. And then once I was done on one side, I flipped them and did the other side, and then I let them completely dry before I went in with my metallic gold paint. I picked up this paint at Michael's just because I was using my coupon. And I have to tell you guys, I absolutely love this color of gold. There's just something about it. It's so soft and nice looking. I was quite impressed. There's so many different variations of gold that I was worried, but I absolutely love that one. So here I'm just showing you that if you wanted to have that exact look, I have these little hangers from IKEA, and you could spray and paint them black, but then you would have to drill holes into the wall, or maybe if you already have these up, you could hang up the bells onto it. I am just going to use this piece of wood from the toilet plunger. I'm going to stain it with some paint and 2 different colors of paint. I just want to clean it up before the sticky part, so that way I can apply the paint evenly, and that way I can hang this up wherever I want. It's not restricted to putting screws into the wall. For the paint, I'm using a Dollar Tree black chalk paint, and I'm just going to dab a rag in it and rub it on. That way some of the wood grain that's on it will show through. I also want to mention that today's video is in collaboration with my dear friend Sandra from the Schwoman's Nest, or the DIYs at the Schwoman's Nest. I have known Sandra for a very, very long time off YouTube. and now we are obviously friends on YouTube as well. We used to be neighbors at one point, but now we live a couple streets over. And I love Sandra's channel. I think Sandra is one of the most creative people I know. Her DIYs are amazing. So if you have never seen Sandra's channel, make sure you head on over. I will have her channel linked down below for you to check out, and make sure you tell her that I have sent you over there. And if you're stopping by from Sandra's channel, welcome. My name is Sonja, like I said, and I'm glad that you're here. I hope you enjoy my DIYs, and make sure you let me know that you are stopping by from her channel. So once I was done with black chalk paint, I did go in again while it was still somewhat wet and applied some of the metallic gold acrylic paint, same way as I did the chalk paint, just rubbing it on and blending it in. This just made it look a little bit antique in my opinion. And make sure you paint the ends as well. So while I was painting that, my bells have dried completely, and now I'm going to be adding some ropes to them through the exact holes that the greenery was threaded through. Now on the picture, the rope is a little bit thicker, but that's okay. I'm just going to use what I have, and I love the look that it ends up turning out with that thinner rope. So all I'm gonna do is cut rope in 5 different lengths, so that way when I hang them up, they're all gonna hang in different, drop down in different lengths. I'm going to thread the rope through the hole, tie it, and then that knot that I tied it, I'm going to thread it back through the hole, so that way it's on the inside of the bell. And then so then I'll have a loop, and at the bottom of the loop I'm going to take another piece of rope and just wrap it around, so that way it gives it that look that the bells have on this picture that you can see. I repeat the whole process on the on all the bells, and then I take my piece of wood and hang them all up. You want to play around to see how they fit the best, or what you like the best in staggering the lengths. I absolutely love the way this turned out. I think the paint is perfect on them, and I am so happy for just $10 what this cost me in materials. Couldn't be more pleased. For my next DIY, I picked these up at your dollar store and more, but I have seen similar ones at Dollar Tree as well. Now this is the one that is kind of an not a Pottery Barn dupe, but it is a high-end dupe. I've seen these all over Etsy shops, and Indigo has them for $40. I think they might be on sale now. And they're charcuterie boards. Now, I wasn't going to use mine on a charcuterie board. I'm sure you could if you used a proper sealer that is food safe. You could, but I just wanted a little wood board in the shape of a gingerbread man to go against the Christmas charcuterie board I have in my kitchen on a display. I couldn't find one anywhere in the store except, like I said, Indigo had one, but I'm gonna drop a picture of it here so you can see what that looked like. And I did not love the gold buttons that it had. I think at the beginning of the season I did see one at Home as well, but I just didn't pick it up. So nevertheless, I proceeded on making one myself. So I removed all the buttons and the little bow ties, and I'm obviously going to remove the price tags. And like I said, I got this for $1.30, I think it was, at your dollar store and more, or with more. It's a dollar store that's it's almost like, I would say, comparable to Dollar General in US. And the reason why I picked up two is because I wanted it to be thicker. And so where I had removed all those buttons and bow tie, I am going to glue those two sides together using wood glue and hot glue gun. My wood glue is a little bit thick, so I am using a brush to spread it around. And the little lid was all clogged up anyways. And the hot glue is just there to keep it in place, to give the wood glue time to cure and set. And I'm using little clamps just to hold it together for a little bit. So I will be using the very thin special walnut stain. It is a stain that I have on hand and I like. You can use any stain. You can even use watered down paint if you want. I think you're going to get a very similar look. I am not going to seal this again because, like I said, I'm not using it for anything other than just display. My stain was a little bit thick. I've had it now for almost a year and I haven't used it. So I did decide to put on some gloves. Probably should have put on both of my hands, but just so my fingers don't get too stained. And I really like this technique. I think it shows, even though this is like particle board, it's not really wood. It shows all the little wood grains that it has, and you just want to go in that direction. And I love how simple this project was. I love the way it turned out. It was exactly what I was looking for. And I think it's going to look great in my kitchen. And it cost me $2, $3 tops. And I did decide to stain both sides and then also the sides as well. What do you guys think? I think it looks perfect. For my next DIY, I picked up this Snowflake at Dollarama for, I think it was $1.50. But I do know that, yes, I do know that Dollar Tree carries them similar snowflakes as well. And I saw an inspiration at Kirkland's. And even though this wasn't overly expensive, I think we can do it for a lot cheaper. Everything else, all the materials that I used to complete this project, I had on hand. So really this only cost me $1.50 plus tax. So once I had that pesky tag taken off, I am going to leave the rope on just because I'm not sure whether I'm going to hang it up or just lean it up against something. So I just wanted to have that option. So I went out and I spray painted with Rust-Oleum chalk paint in white. And I just gave it a decent amount to cover everything. And once that was dry, which did not take very long to dry at all. So here it is, as you can see, it's all painted. I only did the one side. I brought it in now. At this time, I thought I was going to sand off the distressing because on that snowflake, it was distressed. It had like parts that were kind of sanded off, but this was not working for me. So I decided to use warm beige acrylic paint and dry brush it on all the edges or wherever I felt like it needed to be brushed on. So I tried two different brushes. The first one did not work the way I wanted it. So I ended up getting this other brush that was more flat and kind of fanned out, and that worked much better. don't think the warm beige was showing very well on the camera. Even here you can see it a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked it. But I think it gave the snowflake some dimension, and I love the way it turned out. So simple. This next DIY is probably one of my favorites besides another one of my favorites besides the bells. And we've all seen these Christmas trees. This particular one I saw at Kirkland's, and they are for about 16-inch one. They are about around $40 US. I know the Pottery Barn has their own version. I think even Bed Bath and Beyond, if you have a store like that. We don't anymore. Has one for around $40 as well. I picked this up for, I think it was $3 or $4 at Dollarama, and I ended up painting it with that warm beige and cinnamon bun acrylic paint. I mixed those two together, and then the second coat I did add some baking soda to it, just to add a little bit of texture to it. So once it was dry, I did want to remove that price tag off of it. So like I said, this came from Dollarama, and it was $3, not $4. So I don't know if you can see on camera very well, but there is a ton of texture from that baking soda. Now I'm going to take my hot glue gun and add design. You can use puffy paint if you have some. I did not have any, so I just used my glue gun, and it kind of created the same look. I did this several years back, and I made gingerbread houses using the same technique, so I figured I could use it again. You just have to make sure that you don't have any of those stringy flyaways that the hot glue gun causes. So I tried to follow the same pattern as it was on the dupe, the piece that I was duping. And then I went in, once the hot glue gun has dried, once the hot glue has dried, I went in with Old Ochre from Annie Sloan. It's chalk paint, and I just went over it, and here I am trying to remove those little stringy things. So I just went over all of the glue. And then I'm going to go in with a different paintbrush, and just fill in so it looks like there's a fallen snow on it. Just thicken up in certain areas. I also covered the little dots with the paint as well, because that's what the picture was showing. It almost seemed like there was maybe some shimmer to it as well. I did not add any shimmer to mine because I'm not the shimmer kind of person, but you totally could add a little bit of glitter while the paint's wet and just sprinkle some on it. I think that would work quite well as well. So this was fairly easy to make, and I think this was very close to the piece that was at the store. And like I said, mine cost me $3 plus tax, and that one was $40. What do you guys think? Did I do a pretty good job in duping this piece? For my first project, I have picked up this wreath ring a while back at your dollar store with more for $3. And it was a gold color, which is what I needed, so it worked out perfect. And then I also at Dollar Tree picked up the set of 3 white bottle brush trees, and then I had a whole bunch of other stuff on hand that I was thinking about using, like these snowflakes, these wooden stars, and then I also had a whole bunch of greenery, and then you will need some wires. So I will be creating this dupe. As you can see, it's $149, and my dupe for all these things that I had spent came up to $450. But let's say I used all the materials and factored those in, even though I had them on hand, this did not cost me more than $5. So like I mentioned, you need some wire. I will be using green floral wire as well as some crafting gold wire that I had on hand still from scrapbooking years. So I also want to mention that this video is part of a collaboration that I am doing with my very best friend here on Facebook as well as at home, Sandra from the Swarm's Nest. If you have not checked out Sandra's channel, you must go there. She is an amazing crafter. She creates some wonderful farmhouse DIYs. I will have her channel linked down below. So the first thing that I'm doing here is creating a base with my greenery, and I am using the floral wire to attach this to the wreath.
Making our Christmas memories. I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping people pleased. But this is my favorite holiday.
Once I have my base the way I wanted, you could attach more greenery, go up a little bit higher if you'd like. I was happy with the way mine look. I went ahead and painted these stars black. The reason why I'm painting these stars black, which is a little bit different than the inspiration wreath, is because the room that I'm going to be using this decor has a lot of black accents, so I wanted to incorporate it into that decor. And then while those stars were drying, I went ahead and hot glued the trees to the wreath, and I'm using these white ones. You could use any color you want. I just wanted the white ones. Now I did let these wreaths dry for a few minutes before I went ahead and hot glued these houses. These are the houses from Dollar Tree. And then I forgot to mention that this is what you need as well. I did have these on hand because I had DIY them about 2 weeks ago, where I just spray painted them white to fit my decor a bit better. Now to hot glue this, you do need to use a ton of glue, and as you can see, this house does have a switch for a light as well, and that's one of the things that the wreaths from Pottery Barn was lit up. The house was lit up as well. I don't think I'm going to be lighting up mine, but we'll see how I feel about it once it is hanging on my mirror where it's supposed to be going. You want to use plenty of hot glue to attach this from top and from the bottom, and then I also used some clamps just to keep it in place while the glue was drying. So while this was drying, I went back to my stars and my gold floral wire, and I cut up how much I needed. Some I cut shorter, some I cut longer pieces, and then I'm going to hot glue these to the stars.
With you, just you and nobody else. It's so good to see you again, Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire, chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, yeah. I've been longing to hold you close, forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories.
Now I'm going to go back to my wreath and wrap the wire around the wreath in different directions, and I'm doing 3 on each side. Now to complete this look, I did add some black ribbon to it, and I absolutely love the way this turned out. For $5, I could not be more happier. So what do you guys think? Like I said, those black stars and the ribbon can be done in any color that you want. But I do think that my dupe came out pretty close. What do you guys think? This next dupe was so super easy to make, and I think it looks really great, especially on your tier trays or a little tray, any tray or a shelf filler that you need. I am using these small frames that are 2 for $1.50 at Dollar Tree, and then I also picked up 2 of these plaster ornaments that you can paint from Dollar Tree, and they were 2 for $1.50, so my total was $3. Set of 2 at Pottery Barn was $1.83. Now these are bigger, I give them that, but I still think that mine look very much the same, they're just smaller. So I took these plasters ornaments and I just cut off the hanging part, and then I also sanded it down just to round it up a little bit so it doesn't look rough where I cut it. I am leaving these the way they are with the wood. I am just flipping them around. I'm not even taking the white part off where I sometimes take it off and I flip it and hot glue it. I'm just leaving them as they are, not staining them, and then I'm going to, once the ornaments are sanded down, I'm going to hot glue them to the frame. This was such a super easy DIY and inexpensive, and I think it has a high impact. I love the way they turned out, and like I said before, I think they came out pretty close for $4.50, and I could not be more happier. I could not spend $189 on 2 pieces of art anyways, no matter what size they are. Another easy DIY that I'm going to be working on are these Nutcrackers. It would have been fun if I could have found different heights, but at Dollar Tree they had them. They were very similar in height, but I don't love the way these look, so I have been contemplating about buying them and just spray painting them black, which is another option if that's something that you are looking for, just to add a bit of inexpensive decor. But I am going to be creating wood look Nutcrackers to dupe these 2. These were $112. I'm not sure whether it was for both of them or for just one. I'm gonna go with that they were for both of them, so $112. They weren't much bigger than these. But after I am finished removing all this hair off of them, I'm going to give them a generous coat of chalk paint. I'm using a cocoa chalk paint. I think that's what it's called, from Annie Sloan. It's a very beigeish brownish paint. You can use any one that you have. I would just recommend that if you are using acrylic paint, to add some cornstarch to it. This will give you texture, and with the brush strokes it will create that almost wood look. You could also paint around their little collar or in their mouth. I'm not sure what that's called, a darker color to create the look that the wooden ones have, but I just left them as is. I did add 2 coats. Now my chalk paint was quite thick because I think it's on its it needed to have water added, but I didn't mind the thickness because, like I said, it added even extra texture. So play around with the paint until you get the texture that you want. I recommend adding cornstarch to your acrylic paint. If you don't want to do that, spray painting them will just work just as well. It will probably be a lot faster, considering I did 2 coats of this paint, but you might not get the brush strokes and the texture that creates that wood look. I absolutely love the way these turned out. I think they're such an easy DIY, a great dupe. As you can see, one guy is a bit taller than the other, but I think they came out pretty close, and it cost me $4.50.
On your door, it's Christmas, outside snow's glistening.
So the last dupe that I'm going to be working on, you need I am using some of the drop cloth that I picked up at Dollarama, and the whole piece, I think it's 8 feet by 10 feet, is $4. And then I picked up these placemats from Dollar Tree for $1.50 each. So I'm going to say the 2 of these pillows cost me $8.50, but I did not use all of the backing. The drop cloth, I only used maybe a quarter of it, and I'm going to be recreating this Christmas pillow. As you can see, it was $45 for one. And I'm going to be making 2, and like I said, if I take into consideration the whole piece, cost me $8.50. Now you could also just purchase exactly the same piece or even a different one, so you can flip your pillows around. So I could have made one pillow out of these 2 and had 2 different looking pillows depending on how I feel each day, and flip the pillow around. Or you can buy the same ones and just glue the same ones together. Now I'm going to be using a hot glue to make this pillow. You can sew if you know how. I don't. So I'm going to cut my piece of drop cloth to about an inch longer on 2 sides. Now the reason for this is because I am using the edges of this cloth that are already sewn in, so they're thicker. So the 2 edges are like that, and then the 2 edges aren't. So that way I can create with that little bit over material that thicker edge. So once I am double cutting, and so I'm cutting 2 pieces at once, and then I'm going to hot glue this to the pillow, but only hot gluing the 3 sides, leaving one open so I can stuff it before I close it up. You can also make these as pillowcases if you have pillows that will fit inside that case. I didn't, but I did have pillow stuffing, so I use that. So I go ahead and I hot glue the thicker edges of the drop cloth to the placemats, and just line them up perfectly on both sides. For the shorter side that is cut, I am folding it over and lining it up perfectly, and then I'm going to hot glue that in. I am snipping the edge of the corner off just so I have a more of a cleaner fold. Now before I hot glue it completely shut, I do stuff it with some pillow stuffing. Now I do the exact same thing on this side where I fold it, but this time I actually hot glued the fold together first. I was just worried that with the stuffing poking through and all this stuff, it was going to be harder to do it the other way, so I hot glued the fold first and then I hot glue it together. These pillows are so great, being that they are so inexpensive if you want to keep them on your front porch for decor. That way, in case your front porch gets snowed on and things like that, it's not too you don't feel too bad if they get ruined. I've never had a pillow get ruined on my front porch, and we do get quite a bit of snow here, but it's also not so bad if they get stolen for any reason. You don't feel bad that you spend $3 on a pillow versus $20-$30 that some of these pillows cost, or in this case $45. Did not go through the full tutorial on the second one, but I did make the second one as well.
Dressed in golden red, garlands and ribbon thread.
I just love the way these turned out, and I am determined to go get a couple more and create a couple more pillows. I just love pillows, and I think it is a great dupe. Doesn't look exactly the same, but the idea behind it is obviously the same, and I saved myself a ton of money. My project here, I went with a more of a boho style versus the farmhouse look that I've been doing all along. But when I saw this project on the Etsy shop, well, actually an item for sale on Etsy shop, I absolutely fell in love and had to recreate it. So I'm starting off with an artist panel, the wooden one, and I am doing absolutely nothing to it. You could stain it, you could paint it. I just love the natural look of it, so I'm sticking with that. And then I take the yarn and I wrap it around my arm until all of my full length of my fingers is covered. That's kind of my measurement. And then so I'm kind of creating a bit of I guess you would call it a tassel, and you will need 15 of these. So I tied the top, creating a bit of a head on top, and then I cut the hooped part just so they're all hanging individually down, not hooped up. I hope that makes sense. So like I said, I repeat this project 15 times, this part 15 times. And once I am done, I pretty much almost used the whole yarn. You can see the piece that's left. I take a piece of just a little branch that I had, and then I kind of place where I want things to go. So at the bottom I am putting 5, then I follow with 4, 3, and 1. This was very simple to make, however it took some time to create those tassels, because you had to do it 15 times. If you went with a smaller artist panel, you can definitely cut the amount of tassels you need, hence the amount of time that it takes to make it.
Making our Christmas memories. I've been wrapping presents for you. I've been hanging marbles gonna lit my house with Christmas lights, so you should come back home to me. And when we wake up in the morning, I'm gonna play those carols that you love. We'll be singing.
Item, and I'm using some black acrylic paint, some cornstarch. Thrifted item is this deer, and I got it for $10. Was a little bit high, but I really like the size of it. And then I also picked up some Dollar Tree deers to go with it, so 2 of those glass ones. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to mix up the paint by adding cornstarch and black acrylic paint together. I want to create a textured paint, a little bit thicker consistency than what chalk paint would give you, because I really want the brush strokes to show up, especially on this big large deer, to almost give it a look like the fur looks on him in real life. So that's what I was trying to recreate with this textured paint. So I start off with really adding equal amounts of paint to cornstarch, and then you'll see how thick your paint is and how thick you want your paint to be. I did end up adding a touch more paint just because it was a little bit thicker than I wanted it to be. And once I reached the correct consistency for my liking, I end up painting the whole thing, and I am using a bristle brush just because, like I said, I want to really show those brush strokes. I also want to mention that today's video is a pretty special video because it is in collaboration with many talented ladies. And we are giving you tons of Christmas DIY from all over the world. This collaboration is hosted by C from Siege DIY. I will have her channel linked down below, as well as the playlist for this collaboration. So I encourage you to go and check out all the wonderful DIYs coming your way. Because the paint was so thick, I did not need to do it 2 coats. However, I did really want to get into all the nooks and crevices, so I am using a smaller paintbrush for that, just to make sure I cover all that blue sparkle that this deer was painted with. Now I am also going to be doing the exact same thing with these glass deers. Now this the coverage wasn't going on as well as with the other one, so this did need 2 coats. And this is what they look like after 2 coats of paint. If you are following along on my home channel, you probably saw that a lot of my new decor is black, and I wanted to incorporate some of that black into my Christmas decor as well, and I think these deers are a perfect addition to that. For my next DIY, I am going to be making over or upcycling my wreaths. I have had these wreaths for many years and it was time to give them a new life. So I have some greenery that I was considering using, like this bunch of leaves, and then I also had some eucalyptus leaves that I was thinking of using, and then I also picked up some of these Christmas picks from Dollar Tree just recently, and definitely was thinking of using those. And then I also have these berries. Now I was trying to find black ones at Dollar Tree and I couldn't, and I did not want to go to Michael's and spend the money, so I will be spray painting these with the black chalk paint. I am giving them a light coat, so some of that red will show through a little bit, but I really like the whole look that it gave it. So if you don't want any of the redness to show, make sure you give it a full coat of spray paint. I am going to be cutting these this greenery picks from Dollar Tree into pieces. So I'm just taking each branch and cutting it off, and then I'm going to strategically place them all over the wreath. This is what I'm doing with all of them, and just spacing them out somewhat evenly throughout the wreath. I did have a pretty good pair of wire cutters, but my mother-in-law had borrowed them and I haven't had a chance to get them back from her. So I was struggling cutting these a little bit, but nevertheless, I did get them cut using scissors and smaller wire cutters. This was such an inexpensive makeover for these wreaths. It literally cost me $6 altogether, because I've had purchased everything at the dollar store, and some of the items that I did use, like the berries, and then I actually decided to use some pine cones as well, I had on hand. So I wanted to show you what it looks like, this wreath looks like before I added the berries with all the new greenery that I have added. It just made it look a little bit more fuller than what it was before. And now I'm adding 3 branches per wreath, because I just wanted a touch of it without overwhelming it. And here is what that looks like with the berries. I think it was perfect, but I did feel at this time that I needed a little bit more, and so I went ahead and got my pine cones out and I added 5 per wreath. Now I wanted to also say that this is a bit of a high-end dupe, because I did see several of these in Home Sense, very similar ones. So, and that's where I got the idea for the ones that I had at home already. And the ones at Home Sense were $39.99. So, and mine, because I had the wreath and then all the materials that I purchased, came out to $6 per wreath, and I did 2 of these because I have two doors at the front. So here is what it looks like, and I can't wait to use it on my front door once I decorate my front porch. Well, I hope you had enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and a notification bell. And also don't forget to check out C's video as well as the playlist, which will be all linked down below. So I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! First one that I'm working on came from Value Village, and a friend actually dropped it off. She picked it up, thought of me when she saw it, and knew I could do something with it to make it look a little bit more beautiful. The eyes on this thing were a little bit freaking me out, so I did remove them, as well as this pom-pom that was stuck on here forever. I could not get this off whatsoever. It struggled for a bit. I used a butter knife to try and get it off, but I was afraid I was gonna like cut my finger with the butter knife. But these shears seem to work a little bit better. They're like the metal cutting shears, but I more or less use them as a just to grab on to the pom-pom. So I wanted to say thank you so much for pressing play and watching this video. If you are stopping by for the very first time, my name is Sonja, and over in this channel I share lots of different types of DIYs, seasonal as well as home makeover DIYs, furniture makeovers, and just DIYs in general. So if this is something that interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you get notified when the new videos pop up. So once I removed it, I took a sanding block and just sanded the little bit of glue that was left on it. I do feel that I need to get a new sanding block because the sanding part on it was almost worn out. I did have to use a little bit of a craft knife just to scrape some of it off. Now I was going to dilute my Annie Sloan chalk paint and use it as a stain, but then I remembered that I did purchase this chalk paint at Dollar Tree and remembered how watery it was. So that is what I used, and I just poured directly on it for the first part, spread it out, and then I took a rag and just rubbed it off. And I repeated this process several times. I wanted to make sure that all the areas were not evenly covered up, but nicely covered up. I love doing this type of staining. It just gives it a bit of a different look, I guess, than actually using a stain. Similar look, but there is a bit of a difference. So I did this to the whole deer. It was nice that I could take it apart and do this. It would have been a little bit harder if I was all put together and glued together, because then I wouldn't be able to get into all the crevices. This is messy, so be prepared to get your hands dirty or wear gloves if you don't like to get your hands dirty. I don't love wearing gloves. I wish I did, because I'm always have black nails from paint or whatever paint I'm using that's on my nails, and sometimes it's harder to take off. But I just don't love the way the nails feel. So I just, like I said, kept doing this until I reached the desired look I was going for. So here it is, the whole piece painted or stained, and now I wanted to give him a little bit of decoration around his neck. So I had a piece of jute rope that I tied around like a nautical rope, and then I dug through my Christmas stash and found a little greenery and berry and pinecone decoration. That this actually came off of my old wreath, as well as a little jingle bell that I was going to tie around it with just a piece of twine. I think this just gave him a little bit of decoration because he was very, very simple, but I kind of like how simple he looked. Did not love the eyes, so glad I removed those. And I didn't love the red pom-pom for a nose. I think the deer was cute at one point, but we wanted to give him a bit of a more sophisticated look. I think he's going to look really good on my front porch. So once I tied this up, I did add a little bit of glue just to hold everything in place.